love that sound, man. I love that sound. That's like just a killer Les Paul sound. Sounds good on every position. And that is the world famous ODR1. This is one of my favorite, like, all-time overdrives. And because I think there's something really special about it. Now, I got to say shout out to my friend who gave this to me. His name is Caleb, and he is an amazing guitar player, and he's out there in California. And I knew Caleb. I mean, I still know Caleb, but he's going to get out to Nashville, I think, eventually. But I knew Caleb playing at a church out there for a lot of years. Caleb, shout out to you, because Caleb gave me this ODR1. Now, when he gave me this ODR1, the original green ODR1s were worth a lot of money. And the silver ODR1s, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but have like the same spec, were not as coveted. And now these silver ones are like up there, dudes. They're like $900. So Caleb called me a while back and said, hey, he texted me. He said, hey, is this still HW's phone? Because I hadn't talked to him in a while. But he gave me this pedal when I was moving to Nashville. I borrowed it from him. And then I said, hey, man, I got to get your pedal back. And Caleb was really kind to me. And he said, he's a killer guitar player, dude. Could play Joe Satriani. Could play the Steve Vai stuff. Could play all that stuff. Dude was great, man. The Andy Timmons stuff. He was just a killer guitar player. And basically, I said, hey, man, I got to get you this pedal back. And he said, no, you're moving to Nashville. You're going to need one of those. So he said, you keep it. So I kept it. And now they're worth like $900. So he called me. I got this text. It was like, hey, is this still HW's number? And I texted back. I said, depends on if you want your ODR1 back or not. You know, because if you do, it's not HW's number anymore. But I've really fallen in love with this pedal. And one of my favorite things to do in the morning, I've been getting really into pedals, is I come down here in the studio and I just play some pedals and I just try them back and forth and I stack stuff into each other. And it's really made me, you know, I go compressor before, compressor after, chorus before, chorus after. You know, just like, let's break some rules. Let's like make some cool stuff, some cool sounds. Let's put some things together that I've never put together before. And there's so many options when you got like, when you got like 15 pedals, it's an endless amount of stuff you could tinker with, right? Let's push this into that. Let's try this at a setting I've never tried, but maybe paired with this, it does something else. So I've been doing that. And so in my more recent pedal travels, I realized that I haven't tried any of the new ODR1s, and I wondered how they sound. But then I saw this ODR-X came out, and I was like, whoa, I got to try that. Because one of the things I like doing is pushing stuff into the ODR1. And because I love the ODR1 sound. It just sounds so natural. To me, natural overdrive is really the name for it. Now, let me show you my sound without the ODR1 on. It sounds like this. Sounds great. That's just a 65 Deluxe Reverb V2 on the Kemper, and it sounds amazing. I have a little bit of EQ adjustments to it where I just take down the treble and the presence, and I dip a little bit at 3500 with a graphic EQ because that makes everything super nice for pedals. If you don't know that, try that. It'll help cut out all the harshness if you dip below 3500. I'll do that. I'll do that in a future video. But anyway, here's the ODR1. Check it out, man. It sounds like that sound, but like such a natural drive that you don't usually get in pedals. Now, look at the gain knob there. We don't have this thing. It's like past noon a bit. But that's like my sweet spot. I don't push it much higher than that because I just think it sounds super great and super natural. Up on the neck. One of the cool things about the ODR1 is that big bass you get. And really all that means is we're not filtering a ton of bass out. It's not like a tube screamer. A lot of times it gets lumped in with other green pedals, but it really is a drive. You could use it to boost into other stuff, but it really is a drive pedal. It's not like much of a boost. It's a natural overdrive. And to me, it sounds a lot like amps, older amps. It really reminds me of tweed amps in the way that the bass goes way up, because there's very little bass filtering in those amps, because those tweed amps were the opposite of high gain amps. They were not, no one was trying to make high gain anything, right? You take a modern high gain amp and there's a ton of bass filtering. As you roll up, it dumps bass, dumps bass, dumps bass, dumps bass. So you get all that. Fun fact, even on a Kemper, if you don't know, the definition really models that. If you want an old school sound, you turn that definition lower is really what it's trying to do. Give you, and you can read this in the manual, it's get that definition low and you don't have a very defined sound because you have a lot of flub in the bass. That's like old amps. You turn it all the way high, you get a lot more of a modern amp sound. So the ODR1 gives us a very natural sound because it puts in all that bass. Kind of the newer amp, the more bass filtering you're going to get. Not always, but in general. That's a beautiful, beautiful sound. I really love that. So when I saw this ODR-X, I thought, man, is this like a new high gain ODR1? So I put it at the same settings here, and you can see it now sounds like this. Let's give you a nice little comparison here. That's the ODR-X. Here is my old ODR1. I wouldn't say the ODR-X is the ODR1 just with a high gain mode, which is kind of what I was hoping it was going to be. But that's okay. I already have an ODR1, so I don't know what I would want this other one to sound different for. So first things first, let me change the settings on this ODR1X. Okay, so I cut the bass a little bit. I backed off the drive because it seems like we have more drive on the X, and it's brighter on the X. So I heard more treble, more bass, more gain, right? So now let's see where we're at. That was the ODR-X. Here's the ODR1. That is respectably close. All right, I think that's pretty close. I could pull that spectrum down more, but this is, to me, copying the ODR1 thing. All right, so it's a couple days later now. The ODR1X, I think, can cop the ODR1 sound, but this is kind of how I'm using it after getting to know the pedal a little more. The gain boost on the pedal is a really cool addition, and it really does make this into a high gain ODR1. And I think that's kind of what the ODR1X is supposed to be. The ODR1, but a little more. And here's how that gain button turned on sounds. to me, that's cool. That is the high gain ODR1 kind of sound. It's that pedal, but more. It's nice. It's nice. ODR1, just for reference. I mean, still that beautiful natural sound. Now the big dog, the ODR1X. So is it better than the ODR1? I think it cops the ODR1 sound pretty well, but I'm keeping my silver one. I hate to tell people, you know, hey, go buy the really expensive one or whatever, you know, even the older green ones are even more expensive. I think this ODR1, my silver one, really has something just really lovely and natural about it. It just has such a natural overdrive is really the right term for it. It's such a beautiful natural sound. It makes me feel like I have a little bit of the flavor of my Tweed Deluxe right in here, or maybe my old Tweed Bandmaster. Something in that era. It's just really honest and beautiful. It sounds like a tube amp turned way up. And I think the designers of this pedal have really just knocked it out of the park. The ODR1 is obviously a modern classic. The ODR1X seems to get pretty close, copying a lot of that same feel. I don't think it quite had, to me, there's something that was a little different. Maybe not good, maybe not worse or better, but just a little different. But with the addition of that gain knob and the bass cut, I think you have probably a more versatile pedal, and one that I would highly recommend. No one's paying me for this video. I don't know anybody at Nobels. I'm just a fan of the ODR1, like a lot of you. I've been HW.